Hey everybody, I'm Amanda with DevExpress and welcome to today's webinar, Getting the Most from Your CodeRush Investment, Take 2, presented by Chief Scientist on the IDE team Mark Miller and CodeRush Evangelist Rory Becker. This is the third webinar in our introduction to CodeRush. Mark and Rory show how to configure CodeRush to wrap around the way you work. We'll build templates, create shortcut bindings, work with context, create selection embeddings, and build a plugin. Also, they will answer questions at the end of this session, and you can enter your questions at any time in the questions section of your control panel. Now, before we get started, DevExpress does have a poll question for you to just learn a little bit more about our audience, and here it is. What is your level of experience with CodeRush? You can select one or more of the following: downloaded the trial and evaluating, a regular CodeRush user, or an expert. So I'll give you just a sec to get your answers in there. All right, so it looks like about 19% of you have downloaded the trial, about 76% of you are regular users, and about 5% are experts. Awesome. All right, everybody, thanks for your valuable feedback. And again, thank you for joining us, some of you for a second time around. I will now hand things over to Mark and Rory.
Thank you, Amanda. Rory, how are you doing in the UK?
Doing very well, mate. Very good.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. We are going to, we have a lot to talk about, and so we'll go fairly quickly through it. I wanted to start with an overview of the options pages. By the way, if you were here for the last time, this is a take two, because the last time I was, I had some trouble with my VirtualBox and GoToMeeting, and everything slowed down, and so now I'm just running on my core machine here. We're in Visual Studio 2010 on Windows 7 instead of Windows 8 and Visual Studio 2011, which we tried last time. But everything I'm showing you works also in Visual Studio 2011 inside Windows 8. So I wanted to start by showing you some options pages that might be interesting to you. One of them is the first one I have here is the core/features, and the checkbox that may be interesting to you is this one right here. By default, for new users, we have this turned on, and if that's turned on, if you execute a feature, you'll see a little window showing up in the bottom right that says, hey, this feature just executed. Do you want to keep it or not? And it gives you the ability to on a fine-grained basis, turn features on or off, and you can do it on the options page as well. But as you experience a feature and say yes or no, that feature will appear in this list, and in terms of, and it'll have a checkbox or a check meaning yes, it's allowed, or an X meaning it's prevented. And it's a way to turn off some of the features that might be conflicting with muscle memory, with the way you're already accustomed to working. These features are in the product to help you go faster. If efficiency and writing code quickly or writing code with the fewest keystrokes is your priority, then these features are built for you. But if learning CodeRush slowly is more your priority, then it might make sense to keep the feature UI window on. But you can turn this off if it gets in your way. The next one I wanted to talk to you about is settings inside of Core. And this allows you to specify a storage folder for your user settings. So the user settings, all of these settings, except for the settings on this dialog page, all of these are stored in this path right here. But you can specify any other path, including a path to a thumb drive. The settings on this page, I believe, are stored in the registry. And that allows you to then specify on two different machines what your thumb drive path would be, and then you can move that thumb drive from one machine to another and have all your settings on the thumb drive, for example. Or you could specify a network drive, for example, and share your settings with other people on the team. So those things are possible here on the settings page. Startup is another one that's maybe interesting to you. One of the options here is load manually, and if you check this checkbox, when Visual Studio starts, CodeRush will not load. And then you have an option in the Tools menu to load CodeRush, and at that point, CodeRush will load when you tell it to. So that might be useful for scenarios like you may encounter a bug and you want to find out, is the bug because of CodeRush or is it because of Visual Studio? You can start up without CodeRush if you want to do that. You may also have, if you work on a machine with low memory, low performance, or something like that, you don't want the additional hit from CodeRush, and so you can turn that down as well. I want to make it clear, having said that, what I just said is that CodeRush is designed to be incredibly fast and have a very minimal hit on memory, so you're probably not going to need this option. One other thing I'll say is up in the upper right here, there's a little icon that says that indicates what level of page this is. So this is an expert options page right here. The features has a green circle, so it's a new user option. And so you'll only see the pages of the level you select and below. So if I select new user, I see just a few pages. If I select expert, I see many pages. So just another thing, if you want to get to the startup, you have to select expert level to see it. Okay. There are a few more pages we'll talk about, but we'll actually talk about that when we get into the features. I wanted to, actually, I take that back. There's one other one I want to get into, and that's under editor refactoring. In refactoring, we have a number of pages that are for each of the refactorings that we have, and we also have a catalog page as well, which shows you which refactorings are going to be available in the menu when you hit the CodeRush key. By default, all of them are available, but you can turn some off if you know you'll never ever need this refactoring, and so that's an option as well if you want. Okay, so with that said, let's go switch over to a code snippet I found online, and let's turn this into a template. We'll talk about creating templates. So I've got this online. I'm just going to take this bit right here, and I'll copy this to the clipboard, and we'll come back over into Visual Studio, and I'll paste it inside of here. And let's get rid of the numbers, and let's format that, and let's get rid of response.write, and there's our code. So what we can do, I think I want to do is clean this up just a little bit. Notice I'm getting a squiggly underline here. This is telling me that this local variable is undisposed. So we'll go ahead and introduce a using statement on that part right there. So we'll create a new SMTP client and then get rid of it. That's one of the nice features about CodeRush, is that ability to detect that issue. So let's take this code right here. This is what we want to do. We want to I'm just trying to see if there are any other changes I want to make to it, and I think we'll just go with this for now. I took out the leading indentation on it, and then I'm going to cut it to the clipboard, and then now I'm going to go into DevExpress options, and I am going to go into the templates options page. I'm going to just come up here and I can type in templates like this, and I can get right to it and get to the template options page. These buttons right here allow me to select what language the page has settings for. In this case, neutral. This means it applies to all languages. I can bring this up, and every file type that I open in Visual Studio will be listed here. So if you just install CodeRush for the first time, you might not see C/C++, you might not see JavaScript, you might not see these because you haven't opened up files of those types yet. CodeRush learns as you use and work with files of different types and adds them to the list and makes it possible to create templates for those types, including languages that haven't been invented yet, or languages we haven't tested with. For example, COBOL or something. You can create templates for COBOL as well. So, but we'll go in here. Let's switch to C# here because I'm inside of C#, and I want to create a new template. I'm going to come down to the end under Miss right here and select this. This is designed for you to put your custom templates in, and that's what I do for demos. You can create your own folder as well. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll call this My Templates. And here it is right up here, showing up in alphabetical order. And then we'll click this button to create a new template. And this is for sending mail, so I will type in, I'll just type in something big like send mail, like that. And under the expansion, I'm going to paste in what I just copied to the clipboard. Then we can go in and make some changes to this. We can take a look at what's going on here. One of the things that's going on, notice here, is that we have the mail, the sender name and the sender email address is here, and it shows up here in both of these places. And what we really want to do is what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this sender email. I'm going to write that in like that. I'm going to put it in both places, like this. Then I'm going to select it, and I'm going to click this button right here, which does two things. One is it puts a link around it, and the other one is it puts a field. Let's do this. I'm going to just do this very quickly here. Let's click on link here. I'm going to do only link for now. Cut that to the clipboard, put the link in, and paste, just to show you the link on that. Click OK. We've done nothing else. Now if I type in send mail and hit the space bar, we get the expansion, and if we come up here to sender mail, we're now linked up. So now I can type in markm at devexpress.com, and you can see it happening in both places. That's a link. Okay? So that's one piece of it. Let's go back in one more time. We'll make a few more changes to that. Just checking my time here because I want to make sure I get through the pieces, everything I want to get through. So let's go back, and now what we want to do is let's get rid of the link on both of these places, and let's click that other button to see what the options are we have for that. So let's come in here, get rid of this, get rid of this, click this button, which puts a link and a field. We'll do it here on this one. We'll paste that in, and down here we'll just do a regular link. And a field means it's a place that we want to stop at to make some changes. And we want to put a field here as well. Sender name is not linked up anywhere else. It only shows up in one place, so we can just put a field around that. Just click this and put in sender name. Like this. And then this is our to address right here. Our to address. This is a field, so we'll select that, cut it to the clipboard, click field, and paste it in. This is our receiver name. Well, this one's already okay. We don't need to make any changes. Put a field there. Paste it in. Here's the subject. Just going to change it to this. Again, we'll put a field in, paste it in, and then this is the body. Message body. Type that in, cut it to the clipboard, paste that in. I'm okay, I'll keep that at Gmail, and I'll keep everything else the same. The last thing we need to do is tell it where to put the caret. And I'm just going to say, put the caret there by clicking this button to put the caret. So put the caret, I've created some fields. Let's click OK, and we'll watch this work. So now I come in here, I'll type in send mail, hit the space bar, and now the caret is right where we told it to be. We need to select it now to select it, and now we can type in the sender email. It's going to be markm at, and here the link is also working, right? So it's a field and a link.com. Hit enter, type in my name, Mark Miller, like this. My to address, we'll send it to Rory B at DevExpress.com. DevExpress.com. It's Rory. Enter, and notice as I hit enter, I'm going through each one of these pieces down here. There's my subject, CodeRush rocks. That, enter, message body, you know it, whatever that's going to be, and then I'm done, and the caret's right here at the very end. So we're almost like, it's almost like perfect, and we'll go and we'll make just a couple more changes to it, and show you things that we can do to just finish that last bit up. The first thing is, notice when it expanded, it put the caret on this side, but it didn't select the field. If I want to select the field, I need to come out to the end of the field and click this button to insert a block anchor. And a block anchor is when you like click and drag the mouse. The block anchor is on the side where I started the click. The other side is the flashing, where the flashing caret is. So we just put a block anchor there. And the last thing I want to do is I want to get to the end of this line, and I can do this with a final target. And this works with fields. So if I have fields and I hit enter on the last field, it'll put the caret out here at the end. Let's click OK on this. Very quickly we'll come in here and we will one more time expand it. Send mail, spacebar, and we can just hit enter, 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 fill all those out, and at the very end we get the caret down at the end of the line, like that. Few more things I want to do. Here there's system.net. Let's instead take it out, and we want to use that, create it up at the top, add it to the using. Let me get rid of this. Let's actually get rid of system.net.mail as well. And now you can see we've got problems in the code. Let's go ahead and fix that. So now we have code that's going to be a little simpler to read, and we'll fix that as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and we're going to dependent namespaces. We're going to do this .mail. And one more thing I'll do while I'm up here is I'll talk about context. And context allows us to specify when send mail is okay to expand. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into code, and I'm going to select one of these context pieces in here, which is in code block. And if you hover over context, it'll tell you when it's satisfied. This says it's satisfied when the caret is inside a method or property but not inside a string or comment. It's very useful for code inside of methods. And so now if I come in here and I type in send mail and I hit the space bar like this, we get this, enter, 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 all the way through. And notice what happens. If I drop a marker, go to the top, it added these using statements for us right here. Looks like maybe it didn't need system.net. So, oh, because we still had, I forgot to take this piece out. That's why it didn't need that piece right there. Okay, Rory, any comments or do you have any questions on this so far?
No, we've got just a single unrelated question maybe we can cover later on, which is that the large snippet that you're working with, if you were to sort of invoke that twice, it's a large piece of code, would the duplicate code detection find it and indicate that it was a duplicate, even if there were sort of subtle differences? But that's maybe not directly related to templating at the moment.
Yeah, let's do this. You're right, it's not. We'll just answer the question though. Let's paste it. Whoops, let's come in here and we'll expand it here too. So by the way, that context I added, if we come up here and we type in send mail right here and I hit spacebar, nothing happens. I have to be inside of a method for that to expand. That's what that context does. So it allows us to have shorter template names if we want to. So now if we were to type in something different here, like, oops, looks like I've got, I had overwrite on, insert overwrite, looks like it was on right here. So if we were to type in something slightly different inside of here, yes, code duplication detection should catch it. Whoops, what did I select? I selected, options page. I wanted to come in here and bring up the duplicate code, do a scan real quickly. Yes, it should absolutely catch it. It didn't, so there may be a setting option. Let's go see what we've got in here. Let me turn on this, analyze. Maybe this analysis level is too big, but yes, we'll look at this at the end. It should totally find this. Okay, let's go on to the next thing, which is selection embedding. Let's say that I want to do something in my methods or around a block of code where I want to do something like this, where I want to say like, I do a console write line before, and we want to say like entering, and then maybe I want to say the method name, for example, like send mail to. Yes. Okay, and then at the end, and then I want to maybe put this in a try finally block. So just hit the letter F here. This is selection embedding, by the way. The CodeRush training window will show you if you have a selection, you can wrap it in and try finally with the letter F. So the CodeRush training window here, we talked about that before, but it's in DevExpress tool windows CodeRush. So if I hit the letter F when I have a selection, multi-line selection, letter F, whoops, hold on. Oh, I got it for me. All right, I didn't quite have it, but it extended the selection for me. Nice. It gives me try finally block. I can then come down in here. Oh, whoops, I wanted this on the outside. Let's pop that out there. And then down here, we'd say something like exiting. Like that, send mail to. And so we might want to do something like this. And I might come in here and I might say, let's take this and put it so it's all on one line out here in the end, and do the same thing with the piece at the beginning up here too as well. So we want to put this and this other piece around a block of code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this to the clipboard. We're going to go into DevExpress options, and I'm going to go into selections and then embedding. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say I want to create a new embedding. And we're going to call this, we'll call this the logging embedding. Fine, I'll just give it the same thing. So the caption is what shows up in the menu, and this is the name that we can use in shortcuts. And then I have different styles that I can select for embeddings. This is actually the most powerful embedding engine that I know of, known to mankind. And it gives you options to surround top and bottom, left, left and right only, at the start and at the end with left and rights as well. So you have something unique at the start, something unique at the end, and left and right, and also just something very simple like at the beginning and end, like parens, to embed in parens. You can do all of these things, and all of these different pieces have different options in terms of placement. So it's, like I say, it's the most sophisticated embedding engine, and also as a CodeRush plugin developer, you have access to all of this behind the scenes, this whole engine behind this. So if you want to do this stuff, you can do it. So I'm going to paste what we have on the clipboard in here. We'll take our middle part out because we don't need that, and we need this. We're going to take this and put this down in the bottom part. So this selected text goes here and here. We can get rid of our leading white space. We don't need that. CodeRush will format it afterwards. The only thing I want to do is I want to change this send mail to the actual name of the member we're in. So I'm going to right-click this, choose Insert Provider. I think there's something called Member, and that should give us the member name, like that. I'll take this, I'll copy this to the clipboard, I'll put it up here at the top as well, and we'll paste it. We can indent the selection. Actually, we're going to format it afterwards anyway. There are ways to suppress formatting if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and choose OK. Click OK on this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to this onEventName method. I'll select it, right-click it. I can choose Embed Selection, and I should see logging there. And there, now you see entering onEventName. Try, what did I mess up? Something's missing. The open paren. The open brace is what I missed. Okay, so it looks like I got to add that back in. So we can go do that. Add the open brace. There we go. So one more time, we'll hit undo, go back, and this time I'll hit the CodeRush key, choose Embed Selection, and down here you can see logging right there. And now we've got onEventName, so we're entering and exiting. We have this wrapped around the piece. So that is selection embedding. Let's go and talk about shortcuts next. How are we doing on time here? Oh, I want to start writing the plugin about now. I've got to go quickly. So shortcuts. So if we go into selection in shortcuts and we look at embedding and we look at the letter F, so this is the one that embeds into try-finally. It uses this command and then its parameters are try-finally, in other words, the name of the embedding. And here's the letter F, and it's got a context. Use only in the code block and with multiple lines or the whole line is selected. Whole line means from beginning to end of the line. So I'm going to right-click this, and I'm just going to say duplicate. In fact, I think I can duplicate it by hitting this button. So a duplicate shortcut right there. And now we're going to change the shortcut key to can't use L for logging. I'll do, I can see, let's do, I'm going to do P because it's not used. So I'll just use the letter P. Okay, and then we're going to say, we'll call this logging down here. And if I get the name right, I think maybe it was an uppercase L. So there we go. And I'll keep all the context. I'll click OK on this. And now what we can do is that we can undo this right here. Select it. I hit the letter P, and it embeds it. So I created a shortcut. It executes a command. It only executes a command if the context is satisfied. In other words, if I'm here and I hit the letter P, it just does this. Let me very quickly come down here to keys so you can see what's going on. I'm going to enable keys so you can see the keys I press. Whatever keys I press there, you can see them coming out, right? So come here, I'll select the whole thing. I'm just hitting the letter P right now. There's the letter P. Okay, so that's how you create your own custom shortcuts. Now, let's build a plugin. I'm going to, let's go ahead and finish this. We'll go ahead and say, yes, I'm going to save this. I'm going to now go in DevExpress, new plugin. I'm going to say I want to create a tool window plugin. And I'm going to create a plugin that shows me the source code from whatever method I'm in whatever language I want to see that source code in. So we'll call this the translator plugin. Click OK. It's a tool window. And I'll click OK here. And here it comes. All right, so let's bring the toolbox up. We're going to have to drop a couple controls on here. And I want to drop a, I want to get a panel on here first. And let's go over to properties. And let's go to dock. And dock that to the top. It's always the slowest part. So Rory, feel free to ad lib during this time right here. Next I'm going to grab some radio buttons. I'm going to drop some radio buttons on here to help me pick the language. So this is going to be basic. What am I talking about? I'm in the dock property. Hold on.
Just to remind everybody, whilst Mark is indeed drawing the basics of the plugin, feel free to ask any questions on anything that we've been talking about or anything that, even if we haven't been talking about it, in the questions box there. We'll try and get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Indeed, if it takes us extra bit of time to get back to you, we will spend that extra time with you. We've got a couple that have already been answered already. We've got a couple waiting for some freestyle time, perhaps at the end of this webinar for some demonstrations. But we'll happily answer anything that we possibly can, because we're basically here to help you.
And so I'm just creating the languages that I want to be able to select C/C++, like that. Now, where am I getting the names from? I'm getting the names from the same names that I'm seeing inside of here. So if we were to go into Editor, Templates, a page that supports multiple languages, this would become enabled. We can see there's C/C++, C#, Basic. That's where I'm getting those names from. So I'm just filling those out right there. If I've got the names correct, let's take this, we'll set check to true on this one. So basic is true. We'll then select all of these and we'll create an event handler for when it's clicked. And we'll say, call this language changed, like that. The other thing that I want to do on the tool window is I want to drop another control on here, which is something that ships with CodeRush. CodeRush gives you all of these controls here, and Rory and I have done, I want to say, like maybe not hundreds, but we have done, you know, tens and tens, scores of plugin videos on how to create plugins with CodeRush. So if this is something you're interested in, there are loads of videos that help you do this. So I'm dropping a code view control onto the tool window. I'm going to take that control, and I'm going to also set its doc property to true. And then I'm going to write some code. So I'm sorry, not doc property to true. I meant doc property to full. So now we have language change. One other thing, I want to get one more event. So this event piece is dropped down for us, and we can work with it as well. These are all the events in Visual Studio. One of the events that's of interest to us is when the language element is activated. I want to make this so that when I move up into a method, I see the Visual Basic version of that showing up down here in the preview window. So language element activated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go into CodeRush object, go into the source, go into the active member, like that. I'm going to get that. I'm going to hit the CodeRush key, declare local, and we'll say, do something like this. If last member equals active member, then we'll just return. Come in here, we'll declare a new field. And so there's the last member. Under language change, we want to say language equals sender as radio button, and select all that, hit the paren key to embed it in parens, dot text, like that. Maybe I want to do some checking in here to see if, just introduce local on this, call this radio button, and do a check to make sure that's not null. And so here, let's declare this right as well. Let's declare this as a field. Let's come up here. Let's initialize this to basic, so it corresponds with the radio button that we've got. And then down here, I'm going to call a method called showCode, which doesn't exist yet. Let's declare it. Put it there. Let's come back here in a second. I also need a copy of showCode down here. And so we have last member is equal to that. And so I think what we're going to do here is going to say last member equals active member. Like that. And then we're going to show code. And inside show code, we're going to use last member and language. So we're going to go into code. There's a CodeRush service called language. And inside language, there's a method called generate element. And we can pass in that last member, and we can also pass in the language that we want it to be in. Let me just get that on. There it is right there. The language ID. Okay? That'll generate it in that language. This is going to give us a string that we're going to call code. Then we're going to go into our, what's it called, code view 1. We're going to call a method called showCode. We're going to pass it the code and the language, like that. And I think we're done. I'm going to run it, hoping that I haven't forgotten anything and we're done. And if I have, we'll just set a breakpoint and fix it. What's my time? Holy cow, 2 minutes left. So we're just, DXCore is initializing here. It takes a little longer because we're debugging. We're running from another instance of Visual Studio, and in that instance of Visual Studio, you'll see down here probably that we're loading symbols and things like that. That should be coming up here in a minute. So, Rory, do we have questions during this time? By the way, this is the perfect time for questions.
We have a question regarding templates, a little demonstration of how to edit one of the existing templates, so maybe we'll wait a little for that. One thing I do want to point out is that we've now shown you 3 entirely different levels of CodeRush usage. We've shown you the basic, use the features on your code day to day, things like selection embedding. We've shown you the editing, the configuration of these things day to day. So you can change templates, you can make your own templates without doing any coding of your own directly. You can make great savings on what it takes to produce code. And now we're showing you the 3rd level, that is to make plugins that run exactly at the same level that all the CodeRush features do. And this is where you can write any managed code you like to achieve any effect. You can call out to web services, you can look in databases, all the stuff you're used to doing, but now you're using your coding skills to improve your own coding experience. So there's 3 entirely different levels of using CodeRush there today.
Also, I just want, I always tell myself to say this, and I always forget, but every single feature that we ship in CodeRush is shipping as a plugin. It is a feature built on top of the API, the same API you have access to. Here's the translator. We didn't add an image for it due to time constraints, but that's the piece we wrote. Let's put it in here. Let's drag it. Whoops. Where is it there? I'm going to drag it down the bottom is where I wanted to put it. And then let's move through the code and see what we see if it works. So here you go. Looks like it's working. So here I'm on as I move to each member through the code, you're seeing that member being displayed down there in that source code. We can switch over to JavaScript. We can switch over to C++ if you want. Notice, well, let's see, in JavaScript, we can go up here. In JavaScript there you see that we don't have the object or the my custom event args for the piece that we're on. So pretty cool, right? With a very few lines of code, we're able to build something that is that's pretty interesting, I think, in terms of functionality. And you know, let's go back to
lines of code at most.
Not much, right? Let's go back over here and we'll look at that. There's the code that we wrote to make that happen, and it's built this way on purpose, right? It is we are doing this. The core API is built so that it doesn't take a lot of code to write the plugins. That's the whole idea behind it. Okay. So any other questions we have?
So the one question we've had for a little while now is, let me scroll back over. Jacob would like to see that we've got an XPO template in our standard shipping set of templates, which is designed to create an XPO property with a type object. He'd like to see how to modify that in order to link the type, the object, so that he can change the class. Effectively, he'd like to add another field, is what it sounds like.
So I may need more context than I have right now to be able to answer this question, but so we're talking about are we talking about this template right here, the XP followed by a type mnemonic?
Yeah,
so,
I didn't have it in front of me at the time. That does sound like that one, in which case we already have multiple types.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do?
Don't we?
You know what I'm going to do, Rory? I'm actually going to, there's another demo I wanted to do, and I'm going to jump right into it, and it might answer this question indirectly. It might,
okay.
And it also will I think, go a ways to explaining what is the mystery behind this
question mark type
this question mark type that we have here. Look at this, XP question mark type question mark. And here's what's going on. When you see question mark, that's a delimiter, and that means that we're going to substitute in something else from a list of known values here, where we have a shortcut to some other type value mapping. And if you go into core dynamic lists right here, and you click, you come down here and you bring into neutral, you're going to see a number of different pieces here, like system types, for example. We're going to create our own list right now. We're going to create a new list. We're going to call this list exceptions. And we're going to give it a variable. We'll call it exception, just by itself like this, and holds .NET exceptions. We're going to say, yes, it's .NET types. And that's going to let us do some magic here. So now we've got exceptions on the list. Let's create a new exception. And let's see, I want to go to, let's see, not there, where is here? So I have this list of exceptions that I grabbed from a blog post. These are common exceptions. I took those exceptions and I just put them out here like this inside of this, this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with, like, for example, argument exception. In fact, what I really want to do is kind of do a mapping right here. So I might do A for this one. I might say this one's AN for argument null, AOOR for argument out of range, DWO like this. So what I'm doing in each one of these is I'm just coming up with a mapping of a shortcut for each one of these. And let's add them. So argument exception, we'll come over here. Oh, wait, look at this. We also have arithmetic exception. So we'll have to do something slightly different here because I can't use A for both of these. So let's do ARI for this and ARG for this. Okay, so we'll do that. So let's add argument exception, and we'll come back over into CodeRush, and we'll come in here. We're going to paste this in for the value, and up here we'll type in ARG, and we're going to click Add. So we just added this piece. We're going to just add a couple more, and then I've got a pre-baked list of stuff that we can bring in here to show to you. We'll come in here. We'll do the same thing. This one's going to be AN, and this one's going to be the argument null exception. We'll add that, and we'll come in here and we'll do argument out of range. Like that. Click Add, and let's do an arithmetic just so we've got that piece in there as well. This is ARI, and arithmetic, and Add. Click OK. So, or click Apply rather. So now we have exceptions out here. And remember, the variable name is exception. So now if we come back over here into the templates, there's a template out here. Let's click this button C# to get back to the C#. We type in TNE for throw new exception. There's a template out here that throws a new exception. right? What I would like to do is be able to throw a new exception but specify what the actual type is going to be. And so let's do this. We'll create like a duplicate of this, TN, and then we're going to specify exception like this, and maybe we could throw the letter E at the end if we wanted to, so we would type in the full exception with letter E, like that. So we'll do this. And then, so now we have TN exception with the letter E. And then right here what we want to do is we want to actually specify the exception that we want to put in here. We can get to that variable by coming in here and saying in string provider, typing in get, just getting get like that, and then passing in the word exception, like this. Okay? And that should be all we need to be able to make this work. Let's click OK and give it a shot. And so we'll type in here and we'll type in throw new argument out of range exception. We hit the space bar and we get it. Okay? Throw new arithmetic exception. Notice that E, I'm having to type it at the end because I specified it in the template name. If I wanted to clean that up so I didn't have to, I just delete the E from it and I'm done. And I'm done. Right? In other words, if I come back in here again, so that is, and there, here it is right here. If I come in here, right-click it and say, I don't have a rename. I have to click it a second time to get the rename. There, just do that, and that'll just do TN, but it's going to conflict with this E potentially. If I have any exceptions that just start with the letter E, it'll conflict with this. And when we have a dynamic template conflicting with a hard-coded one, the hard-coded one wins. So if you wanted to go this route, you might have to delete or modify these so that this one works here instead. And so then the last thing to do is just to come in here and start adding more exceptions into that list. Once you have, inside your dynamic list, once you have your exceptions, add all those exceptions that are added inside of there, once you have this totally filled out, then you can now share those settings with other people on your team, and they can gain the benefits of that. So with that, if that does not answer the question, Rory, what I want to do is I want to totally take that question offline because I'm probably not going to be able to do it in the time allocated unless we have absolutely no other questions, in which case I can look at it. But I have a sense I need a little more of an example to get a good
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have
no additional details. There is one more question, however, regards code formatting. I understand we have a code formatting feature which has numerous rules regarding the layout of code, so where curly braces are and things like this, people's preferences for that sort of thing. There's a particular question here, though. Can I get the commas in front for initializers, etc.? So I believe normally you'd have parameter, comma, new line, parameter, comma, new line. If I'm understanding this correctly, the user would like parameter, new line, comma, parameter, so that the commas are on the left-hand side when they're broken down into multi-lines.
You know what? I tried to visualize what you were saying, but I think I got interrupted in the middle of that. Let me see if I can find where our commas are for this.
This is for initializers, if that helps at all. I guess is when you're
so spacing. Is it related to spacing or no? Is it we talking about spacing around the commas or just position of the commas?
It's placement of the comma. So in that example you've got on screen there, it's A, comma, B, comma, C. You could put that on multiple lines, and when you did, normally for my own coding, I would have A and the first comma on the same line in that order. I believe the user would like to bring the comma down onto the same line as B and have it preceding the B.
Yeah, I am not. I don't have enough. I can't tell you for sure on this. Hold on, method calls, is that going to...
the short answer, unfortunately, is to have a great look through these particular the settings here. There's a great deal of settings regarding layout. If we don't have this setting and you feel it's something you'd like, by all means suggest it in our support center. If you ping me offline, roryb@devexpress.com, or indeed find me on Twitter, I'll direct you to all of our help services, and we'll get that suggestion up there as soon as
Yeah, I think the bottom line is if we don't have it, it's probably not hard to add it as well. So if it's something that you want, the chances are somebody else wants it as well. So we can look through this. I have seen some things, but I'm not sure if I've seen anything that says comma on the next line before that piece. I don't think I've seen that. So let's offline that as well, and we'll try to get a better answer.
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a way of following up with this person who is asking, or can we ask this person to contact us?
I know where he is on Twitter, if nothing else, so we can find him that way. If not, again, my email address is roryb@devexpress.com, and we'll follow up with you that way.
Also, the dev who asked the question about the XPO, if you can just send us a little more detail on what you want to change, we can get you an answer back today on that. It's probably not hard. If I just had a clear picture, I'd do it right now, but I just don't have a clear picture yet of what exactly is wanted on that. Okay, then does that mean we are done?
I believe so.
Okay.
If for any reason you think of additional questions afterwards, by all means email us there. Our email addresses are in the chat at the moment. You can find us both on Twitter, and indeed if you just use the phrase CodeRush in any of your tweets, we'll probably see it very quickly thereafter, and we can get back to you as soon as possible.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I totally have the XPO answer now. I saw the question, and I didn't parse it as well as I should have when I just heard it. So let's look at that right here. So the question is the XPO template, okay? And I have to, in order to see it expand, so let's just type this in here. So XPO. So here's what's happening. XPO, followed by a type comes in, and so I type in XPO and it finds this one, right? Because there's no XPO template specifically. It goes out here to persistent property read write. If I can right click jump to it and start drilling in. Here's the property declaration, the property var declaration. We can jump to that. And
I see, yes.
Type link, get the type. So this is the piece where you want to actually set in. You want to have a link between the two. Now hold on, type link. Let's see what that is right there. Oh wait, oh I'm sorry. I thought it was this is just a this is a CodeRush text command is what this is. Type link, and so this is going to link this piece up with something else. But there's nothing. Oh, but if it links it up, so it should already be linked up.
So yeah, I think is it just that we don't have a field there for taking your data entry point to it? And perhaps
I think that's it, is we don't have a field. Yeah. So what you could do, let's see here, is
field start, field end.
What? Here's an idea. Let's just, the problem is I can't test this because the context on all this. Let me just back up here till we get to the beginning here. Where's XPO? Whoops. There it was right there. XPO. In class and on limited line, but not in. Oh, look at that. We don't have a context that's going to prevent us from testing it. So let's actually test it first. Let's type in XPO. All right. So is object linked up? So object is linked up, but it requires you to put the caret on it to then change that piece. Like there, I just changed it to a string, for example. But what I think the customer may be asking for is how do I get, when I do type in XPO, how do I make this now a field instead of the others? And so what you can do, you know what, the answer to this I think is going to maybe take like 5 minutes to go through this and answer it. So maybe this is a thing that we can do. I don't know, does it make sense? Amanda, what are our rules? Do we have any rules for going over time? Do you have any? Hello, Amanda?
If in doubt, help customer.
All right, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to just go on. We're going to keep trying this, and we'll cut this at 30 minutes for folks who are going to watch it. Anybody who wants to stay alive and watch us, we'll just keep going live. That's how we'll do it. I made a what's called a executive decision there. All right, so we'll come back up here into XPO, and there's a couple ways we could solve this. One is we could create a duplicate of this like this and just call it XPO. And now this will override the dynamic one, and we could just lay out exactly what we wanted here. That would be not too hard of a way to do it. I'm going to instead do the hard way of doing this. Or when I say hard, but maybe the right way or a better way of doing this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill into this. I'm going to attempt to do this. I'm not actually sure at this point if I'm going to be able to do this in the time allotted, which I'm going to give myself about 15 minutes, max, I think. But I want to go in here and I want to see what's happening here. Let's first go into the expansion on this. I want to see where the caret's currently stopping. So we'll type this in XPO like this. So caret currently is stopping here. I don't really want to change that, but I want to make it so when I hit that, I get over here next as a field. That's what I want to do. So I don't want to get up here. I want to get to this one. So let's go through and we'll follow through and we'll see how to do that. And the one thing I'm going to need to do, Rory, is I'm going to need to find out if the type is equal to object or system.object. So I'm going to need to add a context at some point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create another template to put that piece in, and I'm going to add a context, and that's the only thing I'm not sure about, so we'll have to figure that part out. So let's jump into this. Then instead of going to the variable declaration, we want to go to the part where we've got here's the default scope. So this is going to be the visibility, like protected, public, whatever. Then there's a type link right here for get type, and then we have the persistent property body. So what that means is this is the type. This is actually the piece right here where we want to change behavior. What I want to do, let's see, where are we in this? Here we go.
That's effectively the second point we want to jump to. That's the place we want to go to after we've initially hit enter on the name of the property, right?
Yes. So what I want to do is I want to take this and turn it into a template. Now we don't have refactorings for templates yet, but it's actually, believe it or not, on the list to have extract template as a refactoring. But someone said, holy cow, what's that? Holy cow, look at that.
Where'd that come from?
I think this might be a future feature, kids. I don't think you have this. I'm going to try this.
You didn't see this here.
I did not. Yeah, I don't know if this is here or not, but we're going to try this. Extract template, and we're going to call this, we're going to give this a new name. So I don't know if this is shipping in yours. Do you have this, Rory?
I have no idea.
This is my internal
That was
build.
kind of a surprise for me too.
It was. That was exciting. Okay, so we're going to do this. Extract template, and we're going to give this a name. So we're going to call this, I want to kind of make it, I'm going to put pound signs on both, on the front and the end here like this, so that it's unlikely to be typed in by accident. I'll give it a long name, and we're going to call this persistent property type, like that.
Mark?
Whoops. Yes.
That seems to be a shipping feature.
Wow. Okay, so we got it. Let's see if it works. This is
I've got
awesome.
11 to 11 and it's in.
Okay, that's really exciting. All right, persistent property type. Click OK, and look at that. So it pulls the piece out that we want, right? So there it is right there, type link get type. And wherever we just were, I'm going to hit the back button, it now replaces it with a call. Whoops. There's the call to persistent property type, okay? Oh, I love this. All right, so this part's awesome. The next thing we need to do is make a decision. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to duplicate this. Create duplicate. I'm going to give it the same name. This gives me two alternate expansions. The way alternate expansions work is this. It's kind of like an if statement or a switch statement. We come down in here and we evaluate the context, of which none is defined yet. Okay? And if the context matches, we expand this. Since none is defined, it matches. It's global context. And if it doesn't match, we fall down to the next one, and the next one, and the next one if they're multiples. So what we want to do here is we want to check to see if the type is an object. Okay? If get type is equal to object. This is the part I'm not sure about. I have to find this context out here. It's not going to be an editor. I think it's in system if it exists. And, oh gosh, I wish I remembered this. Variable matches. Ha! This is it. Right-click variable matches, choose parameters, and we're going to pass two parameters to this. One is type. The next parameter is going to be system.object. Okay? That's it. If variable matches, if type matches system.object, then we can now come in here and we can say, okay, let's put a field around this. So I'm going to click this button, because what this button does is it gives us a field start and a link. We're going to get rid of the link in the middle, and it gives us a field end. And we need that because we can't embed. I won't go into too much detail, but we just need it when we want to put this around anything else that is also a text command. So we need to break field end into two pieces, which I've done, field start, field end. Otherwise, we're just going to do this. Let's see if it works. Click OK. Oh, I got my fingers crossed. I really hope this works. How awesome would my day been would be with that. All right, so XP, let's do XPI first and hit enter, and then everything is working like we're expecting, right? Doesn't put the focus on int. Let's try now XPO, and this is where we want it to work. After I hit enter, oh, it didn't work. It didn't get it to us. Okay, so variable matches, there's a problem there. Let's try one more variation of that. And one of the things we can do, we don't have a way to really debug templates like this, but what we can do, what was it called? Persistent property type. So one of the things that we can do is we can just come in here, we can turn this off for a second. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do one more. I want to do one more. It's not type. It's type, I think full name is the other piece to compare with system.object. Instead, what we'll do is we'll just replace this with object for parameters. There's another variable called type full name, I think. We're just going to take this and turn it to object like that. I bet this will work now. Again, fingers crossed. Let's try it. Okay, so come in here, XPO. Ah, look at that, it worked. Object,
Awesome.
And we're down. In fact, let me do this again so to simulate real life situation. XPO, like this, it expands, whatever the name is, count, like that. Come in here, type in int, change the both place, enter, like that. Now we come down, we're type in XPS for string, and now we have whatever name, and we hit enter, and it doesn't go to the other piece. So there, that's how you solve the problem. Okay, did you get all that?
That's good. Oh yes, we have. That is exactly what
Jacob?
I need. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. And do we have any other questions that have come in?
None that we should be dealing with, no.
All right. I love it. That was awesome. So much better than my last demo.
New feature discovered.
New feature discovered by both of us.
So
Yeah,
just
so
for
you
those of
can
you
tell,
still
like,
hanging on.
What's Miller doing? I'm
Miller's
trying
having some
to
fun, as
see.
you can-
I'm dropping the analysis level down to 1 to see what's going on here. Why we're not seeing the seeing this as duplicates here. We should totally see these as duplicates. There we go. So now I dropped it down. Was it really the analysis level to 1? I'm not sure, but okay. So let's make a change in some code here. So this was a question that Peter Ritchie was asking. Let's change this to Mark. We'll just make one simple change in both places. Go do a refresh over here. Should totally find it. No? Really? Oh, there it is. There it is. It found it. Okay. All right. So it found it. And then we can come in here and we can say, let's consolidate to the current class like that. And there, it'll take the differences between the two pieces there. And we can hit enter to specify the target location. Looks like I clicked away from that. Hold on a second. Let's do that one more time. Consolidate to the current class. Hit enter. And then so now we have send mail extracted, and then our calls have the two different pieces that we're passing in. Then we can come in here and we can just call this like name.
So it's detected the differences between the code and extracted those differences.
Right.
Or extracted the commonality, I should say, and then it's passing in the differences as parameters.
Right. We can also do this too. We can come in here and like sender name. We can come in here and we can say promote to parameter. Very easily come in here like this. And now we've got sender name that we're passing in here, right? Whatever that's going to be. We can come down here and type in whatever pieces we want
And of course
to
it adjusts both the calling sites to make sure that you haven't broken any code. It technically keeps the functionality at that moment exactly as it was.
Right. So anyway, that's Peter, if you're still out there, I just want to show you that. It does find it. It looks like I had to drop the granularity down a bit to see it. I think that might have been the problem. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna.
Sorry, just two things. Firstly, I was asked during the course of the webinar, could we maybe put the code for the translation up on the community site, and we can then direct people to download copies of that. Second thing is, several people seem very jazzed about what they've seen here. We are very happy to continue answering questions. If you just you can email me, roryb@devexpress.com. I've mentioned a couple of times. I'm also happy to sit on Twitter all night answering your questions if you want to tweet me directly at Rory Becker. That's RORYBECKER. And yeah, we'll answer anything we can.
Let's learn how to accelerate productivity, build stunning apps, and work faster and smarter than ever before with DX2. Again, if you haven't tried DX2 yet, you can download and try it for free today at devexpress.com/trial. Again, thanks to Mark and Rory, and of course, thank you all for joining us. Let's see what develops.